Have you ever noticed that the gatherings you once looked forward to now leave you feeling drained? Or that the company of others no longer sparks the same joy it once did? If so, you're not alone. This quiet shift happens to many as the years go by. But here's the surprising truth. Stepping back from social circles in your 60s, 70s, or 80s isn't about bitterness or apathy. It's often the result of a deeper, wiser transformation within. What if avoiding people as you age is not a weakness, but instead a hidden strength that brings clarity and peace? In this video, we'll uncover 6 powerful psychological reasons behind this change, insights drawn from the genuine experiences of older adults that are rarely spoken aloud. Stay with me until the end, because you'll see why choosing solitude over social overload can be one of the most healing and empowering decisions of your life. Before we begin, I'd truly appreciate your support. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like to help spread these important lessons about aging. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and turn on the bell so you won't miss future content. If you find this message valuable, comment number 1. If not, comment number 0, so I can improve and create better videos for you. Now, let's get started with reason number 1, the burden of past betrayals. As we move through life, we don't just gather memories, we carry scars. Some fade with time, like a minor argument with a friend or a fleeting misunderstanding with a colleague. Some wounds cut deeper, betrayals that shatter trust, moments of vulnerability met with dismissal, or friendships that dissolve without explanation. Over time, these experiences accumulate and quietly shape how we approach connection. As the years pass, the echoes of those betrayals grow louder, not because we dwell on them, but because they've taught us a hard-earned truth. Not everyone deserves access to our hearts. Take Chloe Auer, an 81-year-old widow from a small coastal town. For decades, her home was alive with warmth, a gathering place where neighbors and friends came together for her famous weekend dinners. The air was filled with laughter and stories, and Chloe thrived on creating joy for others. But slowly, the dynamics shifted. A close friend spread a cruel rumor about her family. Another distanced themselves after her husband's passing, unable to face her grief. A neighbor she had supported through hard times stopped visiting once their own life improved. None of these events alone was catastrophic, yet together they created a steady stream of disappointment. Now, Chloe rarely hosts. Instead, she spends her evenings tending her garden or reading by the fireplace, not out of bitterness, but because she's learned to treasure peace over the risk of further pain. Psychologists call this relational fatigue, a natural weariness that arises when the effort of maintaining relationships no longer balances with the emotional rewards. Research published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships in 2020 supports this, noting that older adults who faced repeated emotional setbacks are more prone to this fatigue. It's not cynicism, it's discernment. After decades of giving love, time, and energy, often without the same in return, many older adults choose to guard their emotional resources more carefully. With age comes a sharper awareness, not only of what people say, but of how their presence makes us feel. A conversation that leaves you drained, a promise broken, or a gesture that feels insincere. These small moments accumulate and quietly encourage withdrawal. Over time, that retreat becomes a kind of emotional armor, forged through experience. It may not always feel comfortable, but it feels necessary. For someone like Chloe, this armor allows her to safeguard her time and energy, choosing solitude over shallow connections. She still cherishes a coffee with a trusted friend, or a heartfelt call with her daughter, but she has become selective, investing only in those who value her as much as she values them. This is not coldness, it is wisdom. It's the realization that after a lifetime of giving, her heart is a treasure, and not everyone has earned the right to hold it. Society often makes this even harder. In cultures that glorify youth, productivity, and novelty, older adults can feel overlooked, their wisdom brushed aside as irrelevant. When these feelings are layered on top of past betrayals, the desire to step back grows stronger. Yet this choice carries no shame. It reflects a life lived deeply, a heart that has loved fiercely, and a soul that has learned what truly matters. Creating space is not about clinging to grudges. It is about honoring your own worth. If you are still with me and finding these lessons meaningful, please comment number 1 below so I know you're still watching along. Thank you for your valuable time. Reason number 2 is the longing for peace over idle chatter. In our younger years, we often tolerated conversations without depth, small talk about the weather, bits of gossip, or meaningless banter just to fill silence. Back then, it felt like a normal part of social life. But with age, that tolerance begins to fade. It isn't about disliking people. It's about discovering the profound beauty of quiet. Silence, once awkward, now becomes a sanctuary, a space where thoughts can breathe, emotions can settle, and the soul can rest. Once you've experienced that kind of peace, it's hard to trade it for shallow chatter. Take Henry, a 76-year-old retired salesman from Chicago. In his younger days, he was the life of the room, charming strangers and clients alike. His weekends filled with parties and his evenings with spirited debates. His charisma fueled both his career and his friendships. Now, Henry chooses differently. He often declines big gatherings, skipping reunions or community events unless he feels a genuine pull to be there. When asked why, his answer is simple. I'm done talking just to fill the air. For Henry, it isn't about avoiding people. It's about meaning. He seeks conversations that leave him feeling seen, not drained. This shift reflects a deeper psychological pattern that comes with age. According to socio-emotional selectivity theory, older adults begin prioritizing emotional fulfillment over the number of social contacts. As time feels more finite, the focus turns to connections that are authentic, enriching, and truly worth holding on to. This might mean saying no to a crowded party in favor of a quiet evening with a trusted friend, or choosing a solitary walk over a coffee date filled with gossip. The need to impress or entertain fades, replaced by a desire for what feels real, conversations that spark reflection, honesty, or true understanding. For many older adults, this longing for peace is also a response to the constant emotional toll of modern life. The endless stream of notifications, the pressure to stay active on social media, and the expectation to always be available can feel overwhelming, especially for those who grew up in a slower, more deliberate world. A 2022 study in The Gerontologist found that older adults who prioritize solitude over superficial connections report higher levels of emotional well-being. Silence, the study shows, isn't empty. It's restorative. It provides a space to process decades of experiences without the weight of unnecessary chatter. Henry's story illustrates this truth. On the rare occasions he chooses to socialize, he seeks depth, a heart-to-heart with his grandson about life's big questions, or a quiet conversation with an old colleague about their shared past. These moments recharge him in ways that noisy gatherings never could. By choosing peace over chatter, Henry isn't pulling away from life. He's growing into clarity, protecting his emotional energy, and investing it where it truly matters. This intentional shift is one of the greatest gifts of aging. The freedom to say no without guilt, to step back from what drains you, and to hold on tightly to what lifts you up. If you find yourself skipping crowded events or savoring quiet evenings alone, understand that you're not shutting down. You're waking up. You've grown clear about what nourishes your soul and what drains it. And that clarity is one of the most profound gifts of aging. Reason number 3 is the growing sense that people don't quite get you anymore. There comes a point in life when you look around and realize the world has changed, and so have you. Words and slang feel foreign, filled with terms like stan or vibe that sound like another language. Social norms have shifted, with heated debates over identity, technology, and values, often leaving you disoriented. The pace of life, the constant flow of conversations, and even the rhythm of friendships can feel overwhelming, as though everything is moving too fast. In the middle of this whirlwind, many older adults begin to feel unseen, unheard, or simply out of place. Not because they've done something wrong, but because fewer people take the time to truly understand their perspective. Ella, a 79-year-old former school teacher from rural Georgia, knows this feeling deeply. In her prime, she was a pillar of her community, raising 5 children, teaching history, and volunteering at her church. She loved sharing stories of how she balanced motherhood with her career, or how she navigated the civil rights era in a small southern town. Her words once captivated younger relatives, but now, when she speaks at family gatherings, she often notices their eyes drifting to their phones. Their responses are polite, but distracted. "They don't ask questions anymore," Ella says. "It's like my stories don't matter." The disconnection isn't cruel. It's subtle. A slow erosion of mutual understanding that leaves her feeling like a stranger in her own family. For many older adults, this quiet dismissal becomes a powerful reason to step back. It's not that they stop caring. It's that being in spaces where they feel unseen becomes exhausting. Psychologists call this emotional invalidation, when someone's experiences are dismissed, minimized, or brushed aside. A 2021 study in Psychology and Aging found that this form of invalidation is especially common among older adults, often fueled by generational gaps or cultural biases that undervalue their voice. Unlike outright rejection, invalidation comes in small, cumulative moments. A story cut off mid-sentence, a concern dismissed as outdated, a memory met with indifference. Over time, these small wounds build into a profound loneliness, not from being alone, but from being misunderstood. For Ella, this quiet disconnection has led her to retreat, not out of anger, but as an act of self-preservation. She still loves her family deeply, but she shares less at gatherings, often choosing to listen instead of speaking, or staying home altogether. Her solitude isn't surrender. It's a way to protect her sense of self. Because when you know the weight of your wisdom and the richness of your inner world, it hurts to offer those gifts and have them overlooked. Silence in those moments often feels safer than speaking. This sense of being misunderstood grows heavier when shaped by broader cultural shifts. In a world driven by speed and innovation, older adults may feel pushed aside, their wisdom seen as outdated. Yet, this quiet withdrawal isn't defeat. It's a way of reclaiming agency. By choosing spaces where they feel truly valued, whether in a book club among peers, a simple hobby, or even their own company, they are honoring their worth. If you've felt this disconnect, remember your voice still matters. Perhaps you've outgrown certain conversations, and that's perfectly natural. What matters is seeking those rare souls who listen with their hearts, or embracing the peace of places where you are fully known without needing to explain yourself. Thank you for your valuable time. Now let's move to reason number 4, the fear of becoming a burden. As the years pass, this quiet worry takes root, not only about illness or mortality, but about weighing down the ones we love. It's a fear that's hard to voice, yet impossible to ignore. You hesitate to call a busy friend, not wanting to interrupt their packed day. You downplay your own struggles, even when help would ease the load, because you don't want to trouble anyone. Over time, this fear shapes your choices. Invitations are declined, social circles shrink, and needs are kept hidden, not from pride, but from a deep desire to preserve dignity and protect those around you. Herbert, an 84-year-old widower from Oregon, embodies this very struggle. For years, he was a constant presence at his daughter's home, spending weekends playing cards with her family and helping with small chores. But as his mobility declined, he began to feel like an imposition. He noticed his daughter adjusting her schedule to drive him to appointments or reshaping family plans to match his slower pace. Though she never once complained, Herbert's fear of being a burden only grew. "They've got their own lives, careers, kids," he says quietly. "I don't want them putting everything on hold for me." Now, he declines most invitations, preferring to stay home with his dog and his radio, even though he deeply misses the laughter and connection. This fear is profoundly human, rooted in the longing to be loved freely, not out of obligation. A 2023 study in the Journals of Gerontology revealed that many older adults face this burden anxiety, especially those with declining health or limited resources. The more independence they value, the more reluctant they become to lean on others, even when support is offered with love. For someone like Herbert, who spent decades as the family provider, asking for help feels like betraying his very identity. It isn't stubbornness. It's a fierce commitment to self-respect and care for those around him. Yet this creates a paradox. The more you cherish connection, the more you hesitate to seek it. You say no to a dinner invitation, fearing you might be too much. You keep a health concern quiet, not wanting to add to someone else's stress. Slowly, your world grows smaller. Not because you wished it, but because distance feels safer than risking dependence. And yet, the truth remains. Those who love you don't see your needs as a burden. They see these moments not as burdens, but as opportunities to give back. A 2020 study in social science and medicine found that caregivers often feel honored, not weighed down, by supporting their loved ones, even when it's difficult. Yet the fear of being a burden still lingers, shaping how many older adults navigate relationships. If you find yourself holding back, hesitant to lean on others, understand that this comes from strength, not weakness. But also remember, your presence is a gift, not a weight. Those who love you want to be there, not out of duty, but from the heart. Accepting that truth can be hard, but it opens the door to connection without guilt. Reason number 5, the quiet fading of old relationships. Not every bond ends with arguments or goodbyes. Some simply slip away. As the years unfold, friendships don't always break with drama. They fade silently, like a tide receding, leaving only faint traces of what once was. This fading is part of life's natural rhythm. Connections that once felt unshakable slowly dissolve as people take different paths. Priorities shift. New careers, growing families, or personal reinvention pull them apart in subtle, almost invisible ways. There's rarely an intention to drift. It just happens, woven into the fabric of daily life. One day you look back and realize that the friends who once filled your calendar, shared your laughter, and shaped your routines are no longer present. Their absence is quiet, not always painful, but often carries a bittersweet reminder of how life changes. This fading takes many forms. At times, it feels like calm relief, freedom from the effort of maintaining ties that no longer fit. Other times, it carries a quiet sadness, a mourning for what once felt unshakable. You recall those long lunches that stretched into afternoons, the late-night talks that seemed endless, the inside jokes only the two of you understood. You may wonder, when did the shift happen? Was it something you did? Something they did? Or simply the natural course of two lives moving in different directions?
Often, the truth lies in both, a mutual drifting where no one is to blame. Take Victoria, a 73-year-old woman whose story reflects this reality. For decades, she and her high school best friend shared weekly walks through the neighborhood park. Their conversations wove together memories of youth, family stories, and dreams for the future. Those walks were an anchor, carrying them through life's ups and downs. But slowly,
the rhythm changed. Weekly turned to monthly, then yearly, until the walks stopped altogether. There was no falling out, no harsh words. Their lives simply took different paths. Her friend discovered new hobbies, joined a book club, and traveled more, while Victoria found comfort in gardening and volunteering at the library. The shift was so gradual it went unnoticed, until one day Victoria realized a year had passed without a single conversation. When asked about it, she simply said, "We still care about each other, but I think we've said everything we needed to say." Her words reveal a quiet truth. Some relationships belong to certain seasons of life, and when those seasons pass, the bond often fades. It's a reality more common than many care to admit. Friendships born out of shared circumstances, raising children, working long hours side by side, or living as neighbors, often struggle to survive once those circumstances change. The playdates that once brought parents together vanish as children grow up. Colleagues who laughed over coffee breaks drift apart after retirement or job changes. Neighbors who once leaned on the fence for daily chats lose touch when one moves away. These shifts aren't failures, but reminders of life's impermanence. In later years, you may notice the circle around you changing, no longer reflecting the person you've become. And that's not a loss. It's growth. It's a sign of evolution, a way of honoring who you are today. With age comes a sharper awareness that time and energy are limited. You start to guard them more carefully, choosing with intention where to invest. This isn't arrogance or dismissiveness. It's wisdom, the understanding that relationships should nourish, not drain, and that not every bond is meant to last forever. Conversations that once brought joy can sometimes start to feel forced or repetitive. Old friends who once lifted your spirit may now leave you drained. Instead of holding on out of obligation or nostalgia, many choose to create space, not from anger or resentment, but from self-respect and authenticity. Yet this kind of distancing is often misunderstood. Society tends to view aging as loss of health, opportunities, or relationships. But what's rarely discussed is that letting go can be a conscious choice. Sometimes, closeness without genuine connection feels lonelier than solitude itself. Stepping back isn't rejection. It's recognizing the inner changes in your values, your interests, and your capacity for certain dynamics. And that's not something to regret. It's something to honor. Creating space gives you room to nurture relationships that truly align with who you are today. That might mean deepening bonds that still bring meaning, or opening yourself to new connections that reflect your present self. This act of letting go can feel both liberating and bittersweet. It takes courage to admit when a friendship no longer serves you, and wisdom to release it gracefully. After all, not every bond is meant to last a lifetime. The quiet fading of old relationships is not a failure. It's a sign of growth, a reminder that life unfolds in seasons, each with its own circle of people. As you move through this stage of life, you begin holding space for both the memories of what once was and the possibilities of what's still to come. At a certain point, a remarkable shift takes place. The constant pursuit of company slowly gives way to an unexpected joy in solitude. And this isn't born out of pain, loneliness, or disappointment. It's a deliberate choice, grounded in the powerful realization that your presence alone is enough. When you embrace solitude, it transforms into a sanctuary, a place where you can simply be, without the pressure to perform, explain, or conform. It feels almost sacred, a quiet revolution of peace that many seek their whole lives, but only a few truly find. For so much of life, you may have been surrounded by people, colleagues at work, family at home, friends at gatherings. Those connections, while meaningful, often left little space for stillness, the kind that lets you truly hear your own thoughts without the noise of outside voices. Daily demands, raising children, meeting deadlines, maintaining relationships, kept you in motion, making solitude feel like something to avoid rather than something to cherish. As obligations ease, whether through retirement, children leaving home, or a decision to simplify, you begin to discover the richness of your own company. What was once a fleeting pause becomes a cherished refuge, a space where your truest self can emerge. Take James, an 82-year-old man once known as the life of every gathering. His home was the heart of the neighborhood, filled with laughter and people drawn to his warmth. But in recent years, he has found a quieter kind of joy, one that doesn't depend on a crowd. Now he spends his mornings on the porch, coffee in hand, watching birds flutter between the feeders in his yard. These simple moments bring him a contentment he never knew during his more social years. When asked if he feels lonely, he laughs and says, "I've got enough memories in my head to keep me busy for days." What James has found isn't isolation, but a deep sense of peace, wholeness that comes from being fully present with himself. This shift often puzzles others. Friends may worry that solitude means sadness, while family might try to pull you back into constant activity. Yet what they don't always see is that this choice isn't about shutting people out. It's about embracing a different kind of fulfillment. It's about tuning into something deeper, a rhythm that's softer, yet infinitely richer. Solitude lets you move at your own pace, follow your thoughts without interruption, and enjoy activities simply because they bring you joy. There's no need to fill silence with chatter, justify your choices, or be endlessly available. This isn't detachment. It's clarity, an insight earned after years of giving yourself to others. Choosing solitude becomes an act of self-renewal, a space to process life's weight, let creativity flow, and allow purpose to take shape. In these moments, you may return to old passions like painting, writing, or gardening, or discover new ones such as meditation or birdwatching. You might lose yourself in a book, savoring the gift of uninterrupted time, or simply sit in stillness, finding beauty in the ordinary. These small acts carry profound impact, grounding you in ways external validation never could. And with age, you come to see that some of your most fulfilling days are those spent in your own company. There's a freedom here, a lightness that comes from living by your rhythm, free from outside expectations. You laugh at your quirks, linger over simple joys, and make choices that feel true to you. Perhaps for the first time in decades, you feel whole. Not because the world has shifted, but because you have fully claimed your place within it. Solitude becomes more than a preference. It's a celebration, a living testament to the life you've walked and the wisdom you've gathered. In your own company, you discover not only peace, but also a profound and lasting joy. Thank you for walking with us through these 6 meaningful reasons why many older adults step back from social circles with age. I hope these insights have brought clarity and comfort, perhaps even reflecting pieces of your own story. What touched you most today? What's one lesson from this video that you'll carry forward in your daily life? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below because your voice truly matters. If you found this video valuable, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue creating content that uplifts and inspires. Wishing you health, happiness, and peace always. And don't forget to subscribe to Healthy Aging Blueprint for more.